Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. The first thing that Donald Trump did to ring in the new year was to spread disinformation about a terrorist attack that killed fellow Americans, seeming to blame it on illegal immigration. It's been confirmed that the attacker was a U.S. citizen and a veteran. Now, I'm not going to weigh in yet on that horrific attack in New Orleans, except to encourage you to never believe the first reports you hear. They are almost always wrong or exaggerated or manipulated for political gain. That especially applies when Donald Trump seeks to capitalize on a tragedy like this. I have been struggling over what to say to this amazing community as we embark upon a new year. I know I'm a day late, but that's because I've been thinking hard about what my New Year's message should be. I, for one, am not in the camp of people, even people I usually agree with, who say everything will be fine. It won't. People we care about will be hurt by what Donald Trump and the extremists he has surrounded himself with intends to do. We have to talk about that. In fact, pretending everything will be fine is an indulgence only the privileged can afford. And that is such an abdication of responsibility, especially for those of us who have a voice, that I will not countenance it. So in a minute, I will offer just a sampling of the horrors that lay in wait for marginalized communities, for immigrants and trans people. The list goes on, for those who stood up to Trump and for democracy itself. But first, let me talk about what we do have going into 2025. We have each other. We have a righteous cause. And we have the knowledge that however our fight ends, our children and our grandchildren will look back at these moments when democracy in America faced its gravest test, and they will be proud of where we stood. I cannot help but make the comparison. Do you think Donald Trump's descendants, or Tucker Carlson's, or Marjorie Taylor Greene's, will speak their names with reverence? Or will they feign ignorance and only through whispers mention their shameful heritage? That's some solace. It's not enough. We must do everything in our power to deliver to our descendants the democracy we are charged with protecting. But if all else fails, if the arc of history in our time does not bend towards justice, knowing that we stood up for what was right gives us courage the other side does not have. And that is why I believe we will prevail. I have met so many people in our pro-democracy movement who would give everything to see their country, their democracy endure. I know people who have sacrificed their careers for this cause. And on the other side, well, the motivations of the 70+ million people who voted for Donald Trump are complicated and diverse, but the leaders of that movement believe in nothing except their own power and advancement. So what will Trump's second term look like? It will be a disaster for ordinary Americans. Let's start with healthcare. He's been trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act since day one. If he gets his way, millions of people with pre-existing conditions will lose their insurance. Think about your family and friends, someone with diabetes, cancer, asthma. They'd either have to go without care or face mountains of medical debt. Meanwhile, the wealthy, they'll be just fine, as always. And for workers, he's done nothing but cater to corporate executives while gutting protections for the rest of us. During his first term, he rolled back overtime rules, loosened workplace safety standards, and made it harder for workers to unionize. Those trends will accelerate. The people who are already struggling to make ends meet will be left even more vulnerable. Then there's the environment, our air, our water, our future. Trump has made it clear he doesn't care. He's gutted environmental protections and let polluters do whatever they want if it means more profits. This isn't just about the environment. It's about kids with asthma, communities devastated by floods, and families poisoned by industrial waste. Let's not forget Social Security and Medicare and veterans benefits. Trump and the people coming into his government have openly talked about reforming these programs. That's code for cutting benefits and leaving millions of retirees and disabled Americans and veterans with no safety net. Imagine working your entire life only to find out the support you've earned isn't there anymore. This isn't just bad policy. It's cruel. It's about stripping away protections for everyday people while giving handouts to the wealthy and powerful. Do you realize that the largest recipients of welfare in America are our biggest corporations? Our tax dollars subsidize the starvation wages offered by companies like Walmart. We make up for that with food stamps and Medicaid for their employees. It's Ken Harbaugh. Quick break here to let you know that we'd love to hear from you. Your comments, suggestions, thoughts about future topics and guests. Email us at info@thekenharbaughshow.com and make sure to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, and back to the show. So yes, Trump's second term is going to be devastating for ordinary Americans. But we, the resistance, have assets we did not have the first time around. Trump is already showing signs of being a lame duck president. He can't even keep his own party in line. Just look at the infighting over H-1B visas. He spent years demonizing immigrants, but now some Republicans are openly pushing back, realizing they actually need skilled labor to keep the economy afloat. Trump has no plan for reconciling these contradictions because he doesn't care about governing. This kind of dysfunction is exactly what we'll see more of in a second term. And he doesn't have a mandate. He didn't win the popular vote, not in 2016, and not this time either. He's clinging to power because of quirks in the system, not because a majority of Americans support him. And those big promises he's made, like ending the war in Ukraine on day one or slashing gas prices in half, they're not happening. He does not have the ability or the political capital to make those things a reality. He's selling a fantasy, and it will fall apart. And we are better prepared this time. We've been through this fight before, and we've built resistance networks that didn't exist during his first term. We know how to organize and how to push back. There's a kind of muscle memory that comes from standing up for what's right, and it's not going away. That's our advantage. Trump may have his billionaire backers, but we have each other. And we have the determination to defend democracy no matter how long it takes. Happy New Year, everyone.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.